I'm Ace, and we're here to talk about the Bengals potentially making a trade for Marshawn Lattimore or possibly Azeez Ojulari. Let's talk about it.
We gon' run it, hit the field, blast off, watch them all fall. This is AFC North talk. Got me hype, it's about to be a touchdown. Got the Ravens, Steelers, Bengals, and the Browns. Are you listening? It's time to get it hype. Tune in when the season poppin'. Yeah, we going live. Ay, knock 'em out. Ay, first down, going hard. Yes, indeed. AFC North talk. Let's go. Ay, AFC North talk.
All right, guys, what's happening? It's your boy Ace Boogie. I'm here to talk about the Bengals and them being mentioned by Dianna Russini as potential trade players before the NFL deadline. Now, Dianna Russini said that the Bengals have been looking for an edge rusher or defensive lineman. Most of us think it's an edge rusher and cornerback help. This comes after Joe Burrow has said and stated that it was not his job to try to improve the defense. Obviously, the defense has been an issue. You guys have probably heard me talk about it in some form or fashion about what the Bengals need to do to try to fix this situation. So they're making calls, they're looking to find players, and they're focused on the defensive line and corner position. Now, Azeez Ojulari is a guy that's been really brought up a lot. He's a guy that is currently on the New York Giants. He seems to kind of be an extra guy. He actually has some success against the Bengals and currently has 6 sacks on the season as it stands right now. He's a guy that was played out of Georgia, was a second-round draft pick in 2021, came out the same year that Jamar Chase did, and he's essentially been a good player thus far. He hasn't lived up, I think, to the hype, but with this kind of being a contract year, it seems like he could be possibly available. He had 5.5 sacks last season, which was second on the team last year for the Giants next to Dexter Lawrence. But with them having such a logjam at that position, he's expected to be a guy that could potentially be available. I actually know his agent. So I did reach out just to see. It seems like, there could potentially be something there. Didn't get any confirmation of something being there. But I did say, like, man, the Bengals need to get this guy. And one of the reasons that he could be a guy that's potentially not there to be able to get playing time is they now have Brian Burns. They also had a pick that they ended up getting early on. And so at Kayvon Thibodeau at the position. So right now, Kayvon's on IR, but clearly there's not really a future for Ojulari there. So Bengals are expected to be in on him. Another guy that they could potentially look at is Chase Young down in New Orleans with the Saints. It's obvious that the Saints are not going to be competing this season. They are in kind of a disarray similar to the Giants. And Chase Young signed, I believe, a 1-year deal there. He could be moved. Obviously, he has a connection with Burrow. They're friends. But I would think that Ojulari would probably be the better option. Chase Young is still going to be a good option for them, but I think at this point in his career, he may just be a rotational guy. I don't know if Chase Young could be the main guy. And that would be the 4th team that Chase Young has been on in 3 seasons if he is moved by the Saints. But that's also something to keep an eye on when it comes to that. With Azeez Ojulari, I just feel like you're getting a slightly younger player. He's 24 years old. and he's a guy that you could potentially bring in to have an instant impact. Whereas with Chase Young, with him only having 2 sacks on the season, I'm just not sure what the actual benefit is. Now, Azeez Ojulari is in the last year of his contract, so this would be the last year before he's set to hit the market. The Bengals could take a guy like him and try to extend him before he gets to that. Would they sign him and then extend him? No telling, but he is a guy that wouldn't cost them that much right now. 2.15 million in terms of the cap hit for Azeez right now. So Bengals have to decide if they're going to pull the trigger or not. Now, the other person that's been pretty much floating around is Marshawn Lattimore, right? Marshawn Lattimore is a very interesting aspect because the Bengals definitely need help at corner. He is a guy that is already signed under a 5-year deal, right? So essentially, the Bengals would have to take some of that cap hit. I don't know how much would be shared with New Orleans. I don't know how much of his contract would be changed up. He's the bigger fish, I think, in this one. And that one would make it very interesting because the Bengals clearly need help at the cornerback position. They only have Cam Taylor-Britt and DJ Turner. They don't really have a veteran at that position. And I think Marshawn Lattimore is a guy that could potentially upgrade them at that position and help that defense out. And as I mentioned, he's on a hefty contract. Now, the only thing is he's got a cap hit next year, 31 million and 28.5 million. So that I think makes it harder for the Bengals to be able to do this. And, the Saints are a team known for racking up the dead cap money and all of that. So it'd be interesting to see if they would be willing to restructure or take that and what the actual cost of him would actually end up being. Now, Marshawn Lattimore is 28 years old as it stands now. He's got those 2 years left, or I guess technically 3 or 2.5 if you're counting this season. He's scheduled to be a free agent in 2027. So depending on how those things go, he could be another guy that's potentially available. And Marshawn Lattimore is a guy that would immediately upgrade the Cincinnati secondary and give them a legit number one corner that would allow them some more flexibility and depth there. Now, apparently the Saints and Chiefs are looking at it. So the Chiefs would be the other competition for them. So would the Bengals be in on him? Could they make something happen? If they do, they're going to have competition because as it stands now, he could be headed to the Chiefs. Chiefs are looking to try to make that move. Could be announced by Tuesday. So if he is drawing interest in, you would expect the Bengals to try to be in on that, but we'll see what happens. Like them having to try to compete with the Chiefs is very interesting to see who's going to put up the better trade. It might lean near the Chiefs, honestly, because the Bengals have not really navigated this market too much. But the fact that they could be looking at 2 potential trades here is very interesting for the Bengals and their organization, being that they have 2 trades in 52 years in terms of trade deadline kind of deals. So we'll have to see what happens here and how we play it out. But I think that this is a position or this is a move that would help the Bengals out and make them somewhat of a contender to at least try to make a playoff push here at the end, because it is clear that the defense is really struggling right now. Offense, they don't really have too many issues. They could potentially look for a running back, especially with Zach Moss scheduled to be out today. So that's something to keep an eye on. But I honestly think right now, them looking for a defensive lineman, them looking for a corner is that is needed for this defense. I don't know if this defense can live without that. So as it stands now, I understand why the Bengals are players in this market, and we'll have to see what other cornerbacks may become available. I don't know if there are cornerbacks as good as Marshawn Lattimore out there, because you're talking about a bona fide number one corner. He obviously has ties to Ohio State and Ohio. However, the issue there is, what does the contract look like? How much does he command on this market from a draft pick standpoint? But it's clear that Joe Burrow has spoken, and it's clear that this team has finally woken up and realized they need to be more aggressive, especially when you see teams like Baltimore willing and dealing making moves to bring in guys like Deontay Johnson. When you see the Chiefs willing and dealing to bring in a DeAndre Hopkins, and then also trading to bring in a Josh Uche. If you want to compete in this league, you got to be able to compete from a trade market standpoint as well. We'll see if the Bengals are able to do that. Once again, I'm Ace Boogie. This is AFC North Talk. This is the Bengals Corner. Thank you guys so much for checking this video out. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. We appreciate you. And of course, I'm going to leave you guys with a who dat.